You think my feet smell better than yours?
No, I think because you sit further back. Like my feet are right here, whereas like you're like room-wise.
Was that a short joke?
He has no choice.
Yes.
That's why you have a booster seat.
That's right. That pillow isn't just a pillow.
Exactly. You'll notice
It's
that
keeping
like
me cozy.
It's like, was it FDR that was paralyzed? He never saw him out from behind a desk.
God damn it. All right.
Gordy's always got his pillow.
Emotional support pillow.
Episode
62.
62, Green River Bourbon. We're going to move through this quickly just because we've been talking lawnmowers for far too long.
Okay, goddamn dams.
Green River Bourbon. Now, we've had the weeded bourbon.
Yeah, we had a little...
We were at
was it
the local shop, the Spirit Shop.
Shout out to Jay. Got us a little...
Jay set us up with Green River, the weeded bourbon. Now, this is just the regular bourbon. The reason why we went ahead and went with this one was because we had tasted the weeded bourbon. We did a little tasting, little Wednesday tasting. And we wanted something that we had not had. That's this. So, pop the top. Oh, my gosh. All right. Sorry, guys.
There we go.
Now,
Nice
while we're
pop.
doing that,
Good pop.
it was a good pop. It's a cork top.
Got
Little wood, little cork. It's nice. It's good.
Speaking of good tops, careful. I accidentally threw away the Whistle Pig Pit Viper bottle.
Way to
It's
go.
hard to imagine you accidentally threw that away.
I wasn't thinking. I was cleaning up, and I was like, "This bottle's empty," and I forgot about
At
the
best, you like lofted it into the
because it's
trash.
heavy as
You weren't throwing anything. All right.
Yeah, I was kind of ticked.
I'll slide that down to you. Now, last week we did not do a show. We took a
boys'
there's
trip.
a team outing,
Yeah,
and we
Field
went to
trip.
see Mission Impossible
TC the GOAT.
7. Tom Cruise the GOAT. Now, this movie's been out for a few weeks. We're going to touch on a lot of movies. I have watched way too many movies lately.
Same.
I did some traveling, and
You
I've
did.
been in the theater quite a bit. So we'll talk a lot about films on this.
Oh, I
episode.
just found my movie pass card, by the way. I've been paying for
Good
it
for
for
you.
5 months now, I think.
Still?
And-
Did you re-up?
Well, I just re-upped. Yeah, when they redid the... It hasn't been 5 months, but when they did the
AMC?
V2.0. No, Movie Pass.
Movie Pass.
Movie Pass. We talked about it a while. We can come back to it. Let's
right.
We'll
talk
circle
about
back.
Mission Impossible.
All right. So, MI7.
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 I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
It's pretty low.
I think that's kind of like average.
It's a
for,
very mid rating. I would have
You
guessed
think?
a little higher.
Oh, did I enjoy myself? Yes, I'll give it an 8. Give it an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed myself.
I think an 8.5 is probably fair. It's not my favorite of the Mission Impossible series. It is entertaining. And what it does do really well is deliver all of the things that a Mission Impossible goer would be looking for.
I think
I think I'm a little probably exhausted on a few of those components I could have done without on a few things. But there are people that go to that wanting
those consistent tropes.
those consistent tropes. And they deliver on that, I think, increasingly in a pretty beneficial or a pretty good way.
Yeah.
Pretty solid way.
I wasn't mad at it, and it's still really fresh in my mind because I just watched. I got up to 5,
Yeah.
then we went and saw 7, and then
Skipped 6.
I went home, and I think the next day I watched 6.
What was your favorite?
I think 6 with Henry
6.
Cavill. Yeah,
Pretty solid. I do
Yeah.
think 6 is the one that really brought Mission Impossible into
the higher echelon.
higher
Yeah.
echelon of movies. I have a big fondness for 2.
2's really good.
2 is just kind of funny
Goofy.
and goofy,
Yeah.
but in the right ways. When was Mission Impossible 2? Is that early 2000s, late 90s, Josh?
May 24th, 2000.
Perfect. There we
Yeah,
go.
he had the long hair.
That was
yeah.
a choice time. And the Oakley glasses that he's wearing in the beginning when he's climbing the mountain.
Each movie is very dated by like style, nuances, and his hair and
Yes.
whatever, whoever the leading lady is in it gives you a real good indicator. What was it? Was 3? 3 was Paula Patton, and then 4 is when Isla comes, and I can't remember her name. So she's 4 and 5, and 6, isn't she?
Hang around. She hangs around.
Yeah, she's. I don't want to spoil anything, but she's in It was. She's in 7 too.
Yeah. I mean,
in-
that obvious. I think that'll be in the credits, so I think it's not really a huge spoiler. But yeah,
Yeah.
probably a touch too long. I'd put it.
Yeah, we said that when we left.
Could have been 210,
Yeah.
220, somewhere around that,
Yeah.
rather than the 245 or 250 that I think it was. Going into a 2-part movie like that has its issues, in my opinion. And I feel like, because it's already going to feel like you could have done this in one movie, I think, at the end of it. So it's important, in my opinion, that each part be pretty fast and like efficient. Like they should be quick and move. They should be paced well.
Yeah.
And I thought that this was slow and lingered at times. I got to the end of it and I felt like, man, we could have really
A
probably
lot
wrapped
of those
this up in one movie.
scenes, and I mean, it's out now. We can kind of talk about it, but like the scene when we talked about it in the car on the way home. The scene when they're in the club and the guy is giving him like the ultimatum of like who he's going to kill.
Yeah.
I think I dozed off like twice and
Yeah,
woke up
but-
and we're still in that same scene.
That scene of like politics of who is it? Who's
Yeah,
it?
just very long.
That's very Mission Impossible. Though.
Yeah.
If you go back to like the first one.
Yeah.
That's in keeping with the, like, to your point, a lot of those tropes that people are looking for. But I agree.
The mask
feels
stuff
slow.
is always a great call. When they got to do the mask, creating the mask, and then the mask reveal, and then finding out like who's wearing the mask. I always think that's great. The this message will self-destruct. Mm-hmm. That's always cool. So yeah, man, it had its moments. It was Mission Impossible. I think that franchise has done a very, very successful job at establishing itself as kind of the opposition to Bond. Like Ethan is Ethan Hunt, and his missions are like always impossible.
Yeah.
Where Bond is just kind of like, I gotta save the world, one man against these terrorists, and I gotta stop this global virus. And you know, it doesn't really have like a team like like Ethan does. And it was good seeing Benji and Ving Rhames come back. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it was cool, man. It was cool. It was fine. It was fine. Do you want a nice action movie?
I thought it was going to be better.
I did think it was going to be better.
Definitely
thought it was going to be better. We talked a lot about the CGI. We don't think it was bad. It was just, well, okay.
We talked about the scene of him jumping off of a mountain on the motorcycle, which has been widely publicized in the media just because it's such like a crazy stunt. But when you watch it in the theater, it looks like CGI. So I feel like it probably was worth just doing it in CGI. I don't know if there was any benefit necessarily from a visual perspective
to add the CGI
of having him do it in real life.
Well, it was all just for promotion, really.
And that's a valid point. I guess
know.
the question is, what is that worth? I suppose at the end of the day, the promotional pieces, which is basically, it seems like what they do these for now, is just so he can come out and be like, it's like almost like a trailer.
Yeah.
Is these little like, behind the scenes kind of featurettes of these action sequences. And it's almost as if, to your point, like they're doing them just for that.
They could have put him on a plane, the wing of a plane on CGI for the last one. They could have put him on a motorcycle doing this CGI for this one.
To be fair, though, the plane sequence, I felt like when I watched that looked real to me. Like when I watched him holding onto the side of the plane,
I thought that was real. Yeah.
It looked like he really did that. Whereas this, he's like tiny, and it's kind of like
he's a tiny man.
He's tiny.
Yeah, well,
right?
true, right?
It's a faraway shot, and they've already CGI'd the ramp out.
Right.
Yeah.
And you kind of know, like you've already seen
CGI,
it.
yeah.
So when he kind of goes off of it and kind of just like flies through the air, if you would CGI that shot and put them side by side, what I'm saying is I don't know if I'd be able to discern
You couldn't tell the difference. I see. Yeah.
Whereas like the plane shot is it's a pretty tight shot on him the whole time. And it feels more real to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just one of those stunts that I don't know if it translated as well as I think maybe they were hoping it would. It sounds like a really cool idea, but I don't know. It just didn't hold up for me for whatever reason. I'm not sure. But
I just thought it was cool. That's really it. I was like, all right, this is cool, but like, did we really need it?
the last 10 minutes, the train sequence, the last 10 minutes
That was
of
really
the train
long,
sequence was fantastic. The fighting on the top of the train, they could have cut that whole sequence out. We don't need any more of that. Fighting on top of trains has been done, but the trains falling off the cliff and him like working his way
through the trains,
through all
yeah,
of
that was
the
cool.
various
Yeah.
like cars or whatever, super sick. That
was
was worth it, pretty much almost. I still would have made it shorter.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. So have you been to the theaters for anything else in the last week? Or was that it?
Yeah, I went to the warehouse a few weeks ago for Spider-Man. Did we talk about that?
Yeah.
I said I went, but I didn't
think we
talk about the
discussed it.
movie. I didn't talk about the movie. I just talked about my experience.
Okay.
Went and saw Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Amazing.
High marks.
High marks.
Comes out on streaming, I think, this Friday.
Yeah,
This Friday or next Friday? I think it's this
soon.
Friday.
I think it's very, very. No, they pushed it back because of the strike.
Maybe next Friday. It's streaming.
Something. I
Josh
don't
can figure this out.
Yeah, he's right there.
But like it's streaming as in like it'll be on Apple TV, like you can rent it
Yeah,
if you want to
yeah,
rent it
yeah.
or buy it. It's not going to be like on Disney Plus or whatever.
Right,
I'm saying, like,
right,
you can
right.
pay to buy it or rent it. But,
Yeah, there we go. But again, we talked about how incredible Into the Spider-Verse was. And for them to they did it. They recreated the magic and like got it right back.
Yeah.
And really got into a story that pulled at the heartstrings. And then they even up the animation stakes.
Yeah.
In some regards. And the director came out and was like, some people aren't even seeing the same movie depending on where you go based on how we edited it. And it's the same movie as far as story-wise, but some people are seeing different things.
So like if I go to a screening of this downtown
Yeah.
in the Harbor East Theater, and then if I go out to Hunt Valley,
It could be two different
could be two different movies.
movies, and you never notice. That's how he's basically.
So
he was
there's
like,
multiple cuts
yeah.
around.
He's like, the fight scene with him and Spot. There may just be like a different version of that scene, but it's the same. Nothing changes in the story. It's just kind of
September 5th.
That's the streaming date.
The digital date.
That stinks.
I feel like there was something that I
ready
just
to
saw.
watch
Yeah, this article was published 6 hours ago. So.
Is that a pushback because it?
Unknown. I didn't get that far.
God
What
damn
is August 8th next Tuesday?
what is today?
August 8th is next Tuesday.
Okay.
Today's the 2nd.
Can you search what is new to streaming on August 8th? There is definitely something I feel like is coming on August 8th. Like a bigger movie.
But yeah, man, a lot of stuff is getting pushed back because of the strike. People still are not writing. And
I
still,
think that is going to be going on for quite some time.
I did see something today about them, but the studios potentially now caving and coming and deciding to start talks. But I don't know how that's going to go.
I mean, that's not.
Were you thinking a movie or a TV show?
I thought it was a movie,
I'm not seeing anything.
but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. For some reason, Zombieverse is highlighted on this list.
That sounds good. What's that?
It's a Netflix show. That's all I got. Series premiere.
I'll check it out. I had nothing going on.
Zombieverse.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have made this whole thing up.
I love a good zombie show.
It's really concerning, though.
Speaking of zombie show, I've seen a lot of spin-offs for The Walking Dead.
Oh, here we go. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse gets digital release next week. Video on demand August 8th and Blu-ray in September.
Blu-ray. Is that Blu-ray?
When was that?
This was today.
Interesting. Well, Disgusting Film posted on, I hate it, X, formerly Twitter, yesterday, saying it gets 4K UHD digital release September 5th.
That's what I have here for the Blu-ray and the 4K Blu-ray. I have video on demand in August 8th. In either case,
All right.
it seems like
Hopefully
jury's out on that.
Hopefully that will be on Plex.
I knew I wasn't crazy.
Maybe. What's Plex?
All right, so high marks on the Amazing Spider-Man
Yeah.
sequel.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Across the Spider-Verse.
Amazing Spider.
No, it's Spider-Man. It's just Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man Across the
But
Spider-Verse.
Amazing Spider-Man is in talks of now getting
The third one.
Third one, yeah.
That's
Is that where you were going?
that's right. Now, I was not going to go there, but that title is consistent with the news that you were talking about. Yes.
Yeah. So now
why I said that title.
Spider-Man No Way Home has kind of become a bridge between the Sonyverse and the MCU. Sony is now like, well, it has given these characters new life.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
they've been hearing that people want to see those stories completed, where I kind of feel like the Tobey Maguire one is kind of like, it's over.
Yeah,
But
he's probably grown out of it a little bit. I guess you could say we want to see like an older Spider-Man,
Yeah.
perhaps.
yeah.
I wouldn't be maybe mad at that, although I do feel as if the Tobey Maguire thing, I do feel like that is probably past its prime.
Yeah.
Whereas the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, I could dive back into that.
Yeah.
That was a very
Yeah.
fun series, I thought. And obviously the second one ended on a cliffhanger.
That was my favorite
So-
Spider-Man series. Of course, this current Tom Holland version is amazing. And the OG Tobey Maguire stuff is it was the first time I watched a superhero movie and was like, oh, we're watching superhero movies now.
Yeah.
But regardless of how campy it was, the action and the sequences and the CGI was still very ahead of its time. But amazing Spider-Man,
swinging through the city shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, those will.
The Amazing Spider-Man was just kind of a great blend of both. Still very real world. It was still kind of dark. It was kind of a more grounded, gritty version of telling of the Spider-Man story. Which
Yes.
I love those two movies.
Yes, that movie or that series, I don't think gets enough credit. I think it could have been my favorite Spider-Man series had they finished it. Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought the acting was better in those. I thought the father component was interesting in those. Like there were some family dynamics that they were getting into that I thought was pretty interesting and
pretty good
fun.
acting in it,
Yeah, the acting I thought was great, but they got really pretty awesome actors and actresses. Not that they didn't for the Tom Holland series, but still, like, I don't know. Andrew Garfield had a vibe to him.
I think the difference between the first two series of Spider-Man movies and then the Tom Holland MCU is that he had to figure it out on his own. Where in the MCU, yes, in the comic books, he kind of, he has he has all the superheroes to kind of play to his, to his advisory board, as I'll put it. But seeing Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker build his suit, like build the web shooters, and figure out the compounds, and like that's what was missing from the original series. That's what is comic book canon. Like I think by not having him do that takes away from the genius of Peter Parker.
And I feel the same way too about the MCU version with Tom Holland.
Yeah,
there's a little less of that. Like I get it, he's smart, and like they play that up.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's that often that you're seeing him try to piece stuff together or figure stuff out. It's a lot of times like supplemented by Stark technology.
Yes.
He has access to these tools and to these things, and it's really just like a 3D printer, and he's like, I'll figure this out. And it's just like, there.
I think that also kind of speaks to the Gen Z ideology of technology. It's really not a thing of them really wanting to know how things work. They just know how to use it.
Yeah.
Why things work. They just know how to use it to make what they
We don't
want.
want to know how to make web shooters. We just want to have them.
We just want to have them, right? And if I got to read this manual for this thing to work just so I can have web shooters, and I'll do it. They don't care. They don't care about the technology behind it.
I got you. I got you. Very good. Yeah. All right. Anything else in the theaters that you went to?
Little Mermaid. Watched that at home.
You watched that at home. You didn't go to the theater.
No, I didn't go to the theater, but watched that at home.
And I think that's also on demand now. V-on-D.
Yeah. Just when, I think I watched it like a week before and then it hit. I was like, I could have waited. But
How was it?
it was surprisingly okay. Surprisingly okay.
Surprisingly okay.
Surprisingly okay.
You thought it was going to be bad.
It was super mediocre.
Yeah. I don't think it was bad. I wasn't like blown away. I thought like, and Isaiah, you can chime in here. Like, I thought Sebastian didn't sound like he sounded he didn't.
Oh, you guys watched this together?
No.
No.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. All right. And he
Did
really-
not sound Jamaican enough.
You really threw him under the bus.
Isaiah is like a native Jamaican. So like you hear the Sebastian accent versus the original accent from him in the cartoon.
I got you.
It just doesn't sound. Yeah, it sounds like a play on the accent.
I've not
and then
watched it yet.
Flounder looks fucking frightening.
Yes, I don't think that all of these concepts translate to live action.
You know,
all that
like,
well.
I say it all the
Mermaid
time.
was probably one of them that we didn't
Think about this all the way through.
No, I don't think we thought about it all the way through. And it's also tough because I feel like underwater movies, there's a struggle there from a technology standpoint because you can do them very well. Mm-hmm. Like James Cameron can do it very well, but it's super expensive.
Yeah.
And so Disney's not going to go that far on it. They're going to do like the budget version of that. And we all know, like we can see it doesn't look right.
The exact same technology they used for Wakanda Forever was what they used for the Little Mermaid. It looked like almost
the same shots. They just swapped the faces out.
Exactly. Same exact type body movements.
Yeah.
It was the same exact thing. You could tell that they just were like copy paste. Whatever we did for that, we'll do for this. And,
that's the thing, dude. James Cameron ruined it for all of us. I can't see any other underwater scenes and think this looks good.
You know, and that's funny because we did a rewatch of Aquaman because Clark is obsessed with Mara, who's played by Amber Heard, because she looks like Ariel. She looks like the cartoon version.
The original version. I guess. Is there a book of it, Little Mermaid? I mean, maybe she's not the original version.
Probably.
The cartoon version of
Little Mermaid. And so I was watching it and I was like watching for like the underwater scene.
Yeah.
And underwater stuff just looks stupid. I'm sorry. It just doesn't look, it never looks like they're actually like doing this underwater. They're just, it's like they put a filter, like an underwater filter, and it's just them just being regular.
They may have, dude.
And then like a little CGI on like the hair and the beard, like kind of like
flows.
This is, I don't believe it. Like I don't believe it. And you know what else we can do? We can swim fast. And I'm like, this is so fucking stupid.
Not the best. All right. Green River.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
How do you feel about this in contrast to the weeded version?
I think it's not as full flavor wise.
It's missing a little something.
Yeah, it's just some little something.
It's a little sweet.
It is a little sweet, but I'm not mad at it.
Pretty decent. What was the price point on this again? It's like 30 something, wasn't it?
And the weeded was 42.
I think for the price point, it's pretty good.
Yeah, like this is fine. Like this is
like
fine,
what
man.
Bullet is
32, 29,
a couple
32?
dollars cheaper than this.
Maybe, if not the same.
Couple bucks cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, is this better than that?
No, this is not better than Bullet because Bullet is just.
You think this is worse than Bullet?
I won't say worse, but it's very comparable. Like it's a nice like alternative. You know, you got like Nikes and then there's Adidas. Like, I just want to wear some Adidas today. So
okay,
yeah, but
right.
you know, there's nothing. You know, you want to get some running shoes, you can get some Nikes, I guess. So.
This is a weird analogy that we're.
I don't know if you want to drink.
That we're
Not
exploring.
exactly sure. Yeah.
If you want to drink some bourbon, you're gonna.
I was
get some
surprised.
Bullet,
I thought you
know?
probably would have said that this was a touch better than Bullet.
No. I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. Bullet has like a distinguishing taste to
What's
it. Like
the
you
last
know
time
you're drinking.
you drank
Bullet.
some Bullet?
I have it at home in the cabinet.
I like this is coming from a guy that likes Bullet. Like I enjoy it. I drink it often.
Yeah.
and it's very easy drinking.
Yeah.
This is probably a little bit more flavorful.
You think so?
I think so.
I would agree with that.
I can put this to the test. I have Bullet.
Oh, we gotta test it.
Can we? Because
I think
feel
we
like-
can.
feel
I
like
think we
this
should
is-
test it.
we
Let me
do
grab.
this
I'll grab a
often.
thing of Bullet. You guys just
All right, now.
talk
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, we do this often where like Bullet is the standard.
Yeah,
for
that's
our
what I'm
whiskey
trying to say. I
taste.
feel like it's the standard.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
oh, jeezy.
Well, the dogs are talking for us now. But I think it'd be interesting to put some of these bourbons that we do up against
What
the
like
standard.
we consider a standard. Okay, this is a good detour. Like we've never done this before. Yeah.
In all fairness, I might not say it about all Bullets, but this is the one we're all thinking of.
Yes, orange
Right.
label. Yeah, yeah.
OG.
OG orange label.
So I might not say it about every Bullet, but
Yeah, so if I'm thinking bourbon, and if you go to a restaurant and you ask for them to get a bourbon neat, they're probably just going to pull a Bullet off the shelf, or they're going to ask you like, do you want blah blah blah.
Either Bullet or they're going to give you Bullet
Makers or- yeah.
Wild Turkey, one of the three.
Yeah, don't give me no wild turkey.
Wild Turkey
At no
101.
restaurant.
Wild Turkey 101.
It's my name.
all right. You
It's my
take-
name, Slick Charles. and
Pass
I'm-
those down. Pass these down the line so everybody can get involved with this taste test that you're making us do.
All right.
Bullet Control.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right. Now, what we're all going to do, we're going to take a little nip
Little nip of the Green River.
of the Green River and then just give that a second. Let it sit for a moment. Let it hang out.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're still thinking, still pretty committed to your stance. You're so on this.
We're enjoying this while the dog's doing some ASMR down there.
She's she's
She's digging her spot.
digging a spot. Okay.
Is it? You think it's a thing that she always sits in front of me?
I don't know.
Do I smell like something that she might like?
I don't know.
You like chocolate?
She likes carpets because she can do the digging thing on them.
Yeah.
So I think probably where you sit with your feet and where I sit with mine is probably the most like open space for
Do you
her.
think my feet smell better than yours? Is
No,
that-
I think because you sit further back.
Oh.
Like my feet are right
Oh.
here, whereas like you're
that-
like room
Was that a short joke?
He has no choice.
Yes.
That's why you
Even if it
have a
wasn't.
booster seat.
That's right. That pillow isn't just a pillow.
Exactly. You'll notice
It's
that
keeping
like
me cozy.
It's like was it FDR that was paralyzed? He never saw him out from behind a desk.
God damn it. All right.
Gordy's always got his pillow.
Emotional support pillow.
Moving on to the Bullet.
I did not know he was. Wow. Still better.
You like the Bullet better?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
That's interesting.
Here's the truth. I don't think that they're like super far apart
No,
from one
no,
another
no.
by any stretch. I do think the Green River has a little bit of a like there's a little bit more flavor there. It's a little bit
Yeah.
more interesting. And so for a couple of dollars more, would I rather pour that out for like a group of people? Probably. It's a little bit more of a unique experience and
yeah.
taste. The Bullet is, again, it's not bad and it's not far off. They're in the same realm.
I think,
But
I just kind of
it's-
think
yeah.
Bullet has become a standard, and it's more kind of like when I think about bourbons and
yeah.
whiskeys, I'm just gonna go.
It's comfortable.
Yeah,
It's
a-
familiar.
and it could
think
just be like a
That
psychological
goes back to what me and
security
Josh were talking
blanket.
about in the store earlier today about how
Speaking to the
I think
mic.
it was the,
Speaking to the mic.
Sorry. We were talking about the Makers that was in there and how Makers is kind of mass produced. It's to fit multiple palates.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of people are going to like it.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Nulu, I think it was.
Nulu,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I
the
thought
Nulu
was
was good.
terrible.
It was-
I thought it was terrible.
That was
Wow.
We thought it was great.
Yeah, we both thought that was the best
thought
of the
it was-
three.
I did,
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
I'll take that back. It wasn't terrible. I wasn't expecting for it to be 115 proof when I sipped it.
Right.
I thought we were staying within like the 80 proof range, and when I tasted it,
So
it
what
just
you're telling me is you're weak.
I have a cask strength bullet. We'll drink off air. We'll try
okay.
it. But all right. So, Green River, we're all enjoying it pretty much.
Yeah. I
It's a
absolutely enjoy it.
good, easy drinking thing. I do agree. I think the weeded is a little bit more interesting. It's
a
also
little-
a few more
yeah.
dollars. It's in
And
the
a little
$40
smoother,
range.
yeah.
So,
As a baby bite, it's very soft. That
Yep.
that weeded.
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. Moving on. I have spent quite a bit of time in the theaters lately.
I've been partying it up.
I've been to the theaters more in the last like week than I have in the last like 5 years, probably.
You back to the movies?
So I've seen a lot of this being discussed on, various platforms, but how it's like this return to cinema or whatever, return to the theaters kind of deal with Barbie and Oppenheimer and whatever. And I don't know, like I think the Barbie thing is a real outlier in the sense that it's just one of these movies that just catches.
It's just
It's like a cult kind of thing.
It just like it's like a flash in the pan kind of thing, and I don't really know what it is that creates that necessarily. It happens once in a while, so I don't know if it's recreatable necessarily for them. But maybe it is. I'm not sure.
because it hit a Billy, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
And then obviously Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan always brings a lot of people into the theater. So these two things hitting at the same time, somewhat unusual.
We had two niche film experiences
Yes.
at the same time.
But if you set those aside and actually look at Mission Impossible, which I think is actually a better indicator, it did not do the numbers that they thought it would do. It actually was pretty underwhelming at the box office. So I thought that was pretty unique. And I think Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible 7, Josh could maybe look this up and confirm it, but I think those movies are a little bit more comparable as far as like box office, returns. They both are probably a little, like I think Oppenheimer is doing pretty well given the budget because it was made for so little.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think they're probably in the same space, whereas like Barbie was kind of this lightning in a bottle, $1 billion after 2 weeks kind of thing. And so I don't know if people are necessarily back in the theaters. I think you just have two amazing movies just hitting the theaters at once.
Yeah.
And by proxy, you're just getting a lot of media around that and a lot of buzz.
And they're completely opposing type of crowds.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I love the marketing and
This is the Google search.
for Barbie. Like that's the stuff
I just typed Barbie and hit enter. And it's all pink.
Yeah.
And
the marketing team for
And
Barbie is spot on.
they have gone
That's kind of
all
awesome.
out.
That's kind of awesome. Not even gonna.
They've gone all
that's
out.
very cool.
Where with I love the comparison tweets and the where they talk about like the comparison between the marketing promotion for Oppenheimer and like Barbie.
Yeah.
And in the first one, it's like Barbie McDonald's, Barbie Lego house, and then Barbie movie. And then for Oppenheimer, it's a blank picture, Cillian Murphy. Like it's just, and for them to kind of, I just think it's I'm not, a fan of either. I'm a big fan of Christopher Nolan, but I got little girls and whatever. Barbie's great, but I think what this does is it creates a great dichotomy for fans, right? You literally have like husband and wives, like, all right, we're gonna go see Barbie.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to lunch and then go back and we'll go see Oppenheimer. Like, I think this creates an amazing theater experience for families. Like, this is what going to the theater is supposed to be about, right? Like having the option.
Yeah. So there's like a sense of that return to the theater kind of fun that I felt going to see these movies. I just don't know that it's necessarily something that's going to continue. I don't know how I'm not sure that
If it's sustainable.
If it's sustainable.
Yeah.
I mean, you're at least 3-4 years out from Christopher Nolan now, and
I hate that he does that.
I don't know if the Barbie thing is possible to recreate it again. I mean, maybe if they do a sequel to it.
They're definitely trying to get flash in the pan because I think the next one is Thomas the Tank.
Oh yeah. So Mattel is basically, they announced that they're doing basically their entire toy lineup. They're trying to basically make film franchises out of all of those things. Whether or not that's successful or not, I don't know. In my opinion, I do think Barbie is a unique product line in contrast to the rest of their products and lines. Like I think that it is going to be very hard to top that. Now, if you could do a Barbie 2 and you could get all of the creative forces back and actors and actresses
expand
back
on the Barbie character
and expand on that would be unique or interesting, especially now that we know how successful it is. You could get anybody.
So you saw Barbie.
Show up. I did.
Okay. Can you explain the plot? Because I still have no idea what it's about.
Yes. So essentially, you have Barbie Land, which is basically where all of the Barbies and all the Barbie like characters live. It's like a real place where they all live.
Right.
And Barbie has kind of an existential crisis where she starts to kind of question more or less
her existence
and like her role in life.
Right.
And she is basically goes on this quest to the real world because essentially it's pitched to her that like the real answers more or less reside out there kind of deal.
So it's like a kind of inverse of like Super Mario.
So and there's more to it than this. She loses like some Barbie like powers and features or whatever. She starts like, because she's questioning herself, like she starts losing some of like her abilities. And so there's that layering of it as well. But big picture, she essentially travels from Barbie Land, where Barbie is like everything to the real world where obviously like Barbie is not everything. And so she has to kind of confront all of these realities
and overcome that to
and
still
kind of
realize who she is.
She learns more about obviously like the persona of Barbie and what it has meant throughout the course of time and kind of like the position of who Barbie is now, and has to kind of deal with some of like the controversy of that and whatnot, right? So she deals with some of that, and then obviously we all wind up back in Barbie Land where a lot of our new life lessons are
where she can implement everything that she's learned.
Correct. Yes. And you have Ken, who is Ryan Gosling, who goes along for the ride, and he kind of in Barbie Land is just an accessory to Barbie, which is who Ken always was.
And we talked about this last week, and you were like, yes. Okay. Sorry.
Yes. So then Ken comes out into the real world with Barbie, and Ken realizes that men run everything.
Right.
Whereas where he has spent his whole life being an accessory.
Yeah.
So then he has this whole new like understanding of what it's like
a man is supposed to be.
Is.
Yeah.
Yes. And he brings that back to Barbie Land, and there's like a clash of these realities. So
got it.
That's more or less like the general overarching themes of the movie. With that said, it's the best movie of the summer.
I'll wait for Plex.
By far.
So it's done very well.
You saw it?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I'm just looking at the numbers here. I
When
did
you say
have
it's done
lunch.
very well.
I did have lunch at Banditos on the Avenue on Sunday.
How is Banditos?
It's delicious.
Pretty good.
Tacos and stuff, right?
Yeah, tacos
You
and
been
stuff.
to?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, there's one in Towson.
It's
There's
good.
one
There is now.
Here's the
Where I
deal.
wasn't, yeah.
Here's the deal. It's not like the best Mexican
Sure.
food you've ever had, but it's pretty solid. They have some good drinks. It's like, it's going like above a Chili's and above a Applebee's. Like it's above that, but it's not like an authentic like Clavel experience or something like that.
Clavel's kind of like
Yes.
an authentic. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
There's
It's-
also cheap beer. The beer's fairly cheap. They've
Modelo
got good
Negro for like
specials.
$2, whatever.
I mean, not that cheap, but they do 32 ounces. Like that's yeah.
Pissy.
And there's like a million different like tacos you can get and all different kinds of stuff. Like it's fun if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I haven't been to the one in White Marsh,
And there's one by my job in Columbia.
and there's also one in Towson.
Yeah,
Right.
that's I've done that in White Marsh.
I went to the one in Towson. Wasn't that great? I went to.
Is this like a whole, I'm sorry, we're like getting way off topic, but I'm just seeing all of these Banditos like just pop up like all over the place. So is this like a new like franchise, or is it just new to Maryland?
So the company that owns it, the White Oak that owns it, they have a bunch of other brands. The Curious Oyster in White Marsh, Wayward Smokehouse.
Gotcha. Oh,
there's
those
some
places.
down in Fells or in Federal Hill, and then there's two others that I can't, like Bar 1884 or something, whatever it is. But it seems like they're
Rough year.
becoming all Banditos, like they're moving in that direction.
Okay.
Right. They just got rid of the Curious Oyster in Wayward in White Marsh. They sold that a month or so ago, 2 months ago. And so it looks like they're focusing on banditos.
I hate to sound like an ageist, but like all the young all the interns are like, we're going to banditos after work, and I'm like, have fun with that.
Yeah, you should give it a try. It's really not bad, but it is a younger. Actually, that was funny that you say that. I was bringing it up to mention all of the Barbie people. There was a huge table of what looked like people early 20s.
Went to see Barbie.
They had huge pink shoes, pink bags, pink glasses, like absolutely everything.
Same thing when we went to see.
And the whole restaurant, getting to what you're saying, was younger. Yeah. The whole restaurant looked like they were like sub 30.
Yeah. It's what On the Border was 6 years ago.
Okay.
Before.
Oh, dude, I think it's better than On the Border.
So is the food okay? Personally, I'm more of a Tex-Mex person than I am like authentic.
Yeah, it's more Tex-Mex.
It's more Tex-Mex.
Yeah. I feel like you'd enjoy it. I don't know your food tastes that well, but I feel like you would enjoy it.
It's my soul food.
Okay. I think it's got a leg up on the Border.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Disappointing.
Mexican is my
It's
soul
in
food.
the same like space, I feel like, but it does have a leg up on that.
Okay.
Like atmosphere and restaurant vibe wise.
And they've got a lot of good tacos.
Yes. This is true. They have some nice like Baltimore themed ones, like some Old Bay shrimp stuff and like fish and stuff like that. It's pretty nice.
It's probably got like a spicy aioli.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell that.
It's good.
There's some nice things. Dude.
And not for him, but the pork belly taco, boys, I feel like is the best one. Crispy.
Okay.
Crispy on the top.
See, that's Chanel's.
So good.
Okay. There you go, buddy.
Delish. But anyway, Barbie, this is why I brought this up. Now we're talking about tacos. So Barbie has done twice what Oppenheimer has done, opening weekend and total gross. In 2 weeks, has also done 3 times what Mission Impossible has done in 4 weeks.
And it's beat out a lot of really old records. Like it beat out The Dark Knight had the like highest sales for like a Monday. And it beat that out. Like it's been kind of crushing some
like
some
small
sales
like,
records.
Small concept sales.
It's currently the number 3 grossing film of 2023, and it's only $40 million off Guardians 3, which came out in May.
So Guardians did $1 billion?
Guardians is sitting at 845 right now.
That's good.
And then Super Mario was 1.3 billion. So it's rapidly getting there. It's on track to maybe become the
and
movie,
it hasn't.
the highest
There's
grossing.
like an issue. There's some issues with it in different countries, so it's not even like opened everywhere yet. Which is the other thing. There's some countries that are not down with the messaging, so they're not.
Oh yeah, I think
opening it up. But if it were to go like worldwide, I bet you it would be.
They're not down with the film.
It would knock all those out, I would think, pretty quickly. But yeah. Okay. But yeah, I've seen the Mission Impossible one. I saw Oppenheimer and I saw Barbie, and Barbie is definitely the movie of the summer by far.
Nice.
By far.
Nice.
So they did an amazing job with it. It's very, very, very good. I get it. And it's not 3 hours long.
That's good. I'm surprised. I think I did have a pee break for Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible was almost 3 hours. Oppenheimer was exactly 3 hours. And Barbie was neither of those things. Yep. And man, do I miss efficient
shy
movies.
of 2 hours. Like 1 hour 54.
Movies that just move, dude. Boom. That are just constant. So good. So good. Yeah.
I don't need all.
And there's not a lot of that anymore. There's not a lot of that. So yeah, go see Barbie if you haven't seen it. Oh. Go check it out. Yeah. It's worth a watch. And then on the Oppenheimer, you've not seen that yet.
No, did you go?
I went. I saw it. It's great. It's very good.
You said great. Like,
so here's the thing. It is a very like important movie, probably in the grand scheme of things. Okay. Like I've seen, it's one of those movies that you have to digest a little bit. Some people have said it's like the movie of the decade. Like it's very like there's a lot of big claims about it, and it's interesting because the subject material is very intriguing.
Yes,
very intriguing. And so I don't like it. I just recently, I saw it on Monday night. So I'm still kind of processing it a little bit. It's probably Christopher Nolan's best movie. Ooh. It's not his most entertaining movie. So that's a big piece too.
He's got some bangers. So
this is not Christopher Nolan like Christopher Nolan probably. Right. But
because it doesn't deal with like any type of sci-fi elements.
Well, it's not like there's no like
it's
big action sequences. Yeah. Like it's all
build up.
It's 1/3 of the movie is about the bomb probably and him building it in Los Alamos or whatever. And then the other 2/3 are like kind of like courtroom drama, like profile kind of introspective, like, you know, we have on the front end, you kind of have Oppenheimer as a college student and how he kind of grows out of that.
More profiles him and his point up until the bomb.
It profiles, yes, who Oppenheimer is basically as like young scientist through to basically him as an older, like kind of discredited scientist, more or less.
Wow.
So you get a big picture of his life. You don't get like him as a kid or any of that bullshit. You get like the meat and potatoes of that. But the acting on everybody's part is, I mean, Oscars will be won for sure. Robert Downey it's by far the best thing he's ever done, hands down. I mean, he kind of steals the show almost.
I mean, he does that his recent work has just been.
He's so good in it, though.
He's so good in it.
So everything. Captivating in it. Okay. There are some like sequences in this that are just very special. It's very like intriguing to watch, but it's not entertaining in the way that like Inception or The Dark Knight is entertaining. You have to go into this knowing that you're going to be meeting a lot of characters. It's a lot of detail. It's a lot of information, and it's all like story for the most part. Like the building of the bomb is kind of like there's some like cool shots and some cool things that happen in that part of it, but it's more or less like a drama, you know what I mean? Like it's more
my favorite.
It's more that kind of thing. And it's 3 hours, so you're strapped in for, you know.
See, that's very I gotta watch this at home. I think my favorite meme from that was our boy was Jake Locke he tweeted something about the Orioles in first place, and he was like watching the Orioles, and it was a clip from Oppenheimer when he's watching the bomb go off. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
So
so it's definitely worth seeing.
I'll definitely see it.
Definitely worth seeing.
I hope it comes to streaming.
I'd go see it in a theater. Like I would certainly recommend that.
Did you go to KLP?
No. I went to AMC in Columbia.
That's right. You told me that.
Yeah, so they have a laser IMAX, which kind of was seemingly the second best thing. King of Prussia was sold. They're sold out for the next month. You can't even get near it, and it's a 2-hour trek up there, 2-hour drive back.
Yeah, that's a day trip.
I would do it. It's not to say that I wouldn't. Like I would do it. I wanted to see it sooner than that. I didn't want to wait until September, and it's also it's weird too because you can't. You can't even book past when it's sold out. So I was like, do I want to just keep waiting?
Got to like sit there and wait for it to open.
And hope that like they open up more. I mean, I'm sure they will. I can't imagine they wouldn't continue playing it until, the film wears out, but it's just, I don't know. I want to go check it out. So there was a person on Reddit. I think I mentioned this to you. There was a person on Reddit who went and saw it in
you did
70 millimeter IMAX, 70 millimeter
laser,
and they saw it in laser IMAX. They saw it in all three, and they like reviewed each of them like from like a technology perspective and from like a viewing perspective.
He said the laser was the best, right?
He said the 70 millimeter IMAX is by far and away the best, but that's obviously the hardest to get to. And then the second best was the laser IMAX, if you could get to that. And that the 70 millimeter was fine, but it's not, there's more issues with the 70 millimeter prints than like the IMAX laser.
You said it was like falling off the reel. And
there was just like some weird things, like the audio wasn't as good on the 70 millimeter version.
Like
the quality is fine, but it's really not like, it's not hugely better than the IMAX laser necessarily, but the IMAX laser does have better like black and white, and like there's some weird things like that where IMAX laser just essentially kind of
surprising too. Like he didn't give like a black and white version, like a noir version of this.
So the black and white version, what's up?
Nips out.
Oh yeah, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, careful there. We're gonna.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time. Dude,
I know
that
there
my
was
nip has
one
come out.
episode my whole nip was out like the whole time.
Yes.
Nobody said anything.
Well, we got to do that every once in a while. We got to keep the viewership up, you know,
Dude.
but not too much,
You
right?
can go
Don't give
back
them.
and
Don't
just
give
put,
them
like,
too
a
much.
blur.
There was one
Right.
episode where I had a nipple out the whole time. I couldn't like do anything with it. It was just like the way that it was. We shipped it as is, but it is what it is.
Nobody in the comments said anything, so I thought we.
Just put a whole.
They don't want to ruin it.
Just put a permanent censor right there.
Yes. The black and white footage is not the black and white footage is not from the perspective of Oppenheimer. So when you're watching the movie and you're watching scenes that are in black and white, it's the story being told from not Oppenheimer's position.
Oh, so there are black and white scenes in it.
yes.
I was
and
thinking.
then the color scenes are from the perspective of Oppenheimer.
I get what you were saying.
Gotcha.
I get what you like. Entirety of black
the
and white.
entire
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like
Well,
Schindler's List.
Right.
Yeah, so,
yes.
but that's the reason why they were flipping back and forth.
Right.
Gotcha.
There
Which
was
is cool. Which is
there's
very cool.
intent behind it.
Gotcha.
It wasn't
I
just
didn't
like
even know there
a-
were black and white scenes in it. I thought it was all-
There are black and white scenes.
So the black and white offers some perspective.
Correct. And fun fact, 70 millimeter IMAX film does not exist in black and white. So Kodak actually had to make it for the very first time. But you're not going to be able to see it unless you drive to KOP.
Things you can do if you're Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
I also think that this, one of my buddies, my boy Danny, talked about, he was like, I really want to see it, but in New York, there's like one theater, and I'm just preparing myself to just go see it in September. And I thought that was an interesting perspective because like we've kind of all talked about that. I was like, I'll just have to get to see it, and we go back to the film experience where now they're offering the type of films that have the niche audiences that aren't we don't have to rush to see this. I'll just see it when I get to see it, because I need to see it how it's intended versus it being like an MCU movie where I got to get there within the first weekend before everybody spills it.
Yeah.
I haven't even, outside of the conversations that we've had, no one has kind of like spoiled it for me, like or anything. Like there's nothing. I don't even know if there's anything to spoil. Like we know it's about
there's definitely not anything to spoil. Like you don't run that risk. I would probably go see it in 70 millimeter IMAX if I had the chance. Like if in like late September or something, I've got nothing going on one weekend and they're still playing it and I can buy a seat and it's like easy. I would go do it. Like I'd make a day trip up to Philly and just like hang out and do some cool shit and
Get a
grab
cheesesteak.
lunch.
Well, then you got to call JW and let him know you're coming, and that's not
because he's
even
not going to
worth
drive
it,
the
you
40
know?
minutes out of Philly to come see me at KOP.
Oh,
So I would potentially do that. But
Are you a cheesesteak guy?
no, I don't eat meat.
Oh, that's right.
So
That's right.
but there's probably like an Impossible
Philly.
or Beyond Meat cheesesteak out there. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just wanted to kind of get it out of the way so that I didn't feel like I was missing out on the Oppenheimer thing. So I did the best that I could within the area that I was within. And I'd recommend it. Go check it out. Go see it. It's good. It's very good. Like it's, again, like I said, it's probably Christopher Nolan's best movie. It's just not his most entertaining. I would imagine that this will net him some Oscars.
I'm upset with him.
I think this is it.
about Tenet sitting in my Apple library.
Tenet. Yeah. Like that. I mean, again, a lot of action sequences, a lot of stuff going on in that movie, but story was kind of convoluted. Not the best, is what it is, but it's, action packed. There's like car chases, there's explosions, there's all kinds of stuff. Oppenheimer isn't quite that. Okay. It's more, introspective,
storytelling.
more introspective kind of stuff.
The more you guys talk about it, the more I tend to think, not to keep going back to this, but Mission Impossible really missed their moment, I think. If that movie's 20 minutes shorter, I think the conversation we're having about these three movies in this year, Barbie, Mission Impossible, and Oppenheimer, you're getting three of the type of movies that everybody wants to see. Something family friendly, something action packed, and something
to tell the
is
story
worth a viewing experience.
Mission Impossible just came out at the wrong time. It was too close to the other two.
Yeah.
And it was just a little too long.
Well,
I think if it was 2 hours, 220, I think it would have been way more successful. 3 hours is tough, dude. It just is.
What studios are these coming out of? Because
Oppenheimer's Universal. Barbie is
oof, I just had it.
Warner Brothers, maybe?
Warner Brothers, yeah, correct. And then Paramount for
Paramount
Mission.
is Mission
so
Impossible.
you got 3 opposing studios trying to have a blockbuster at the same time. So you got that.
Yeah.
Too. And then Disney. Oh, the release of the Marvels is now being pushed because of Dune. It won't be shown in IMAX.
What?
The Marvels.
Does it need to be shown in IMAX?
I don't think so. That's why I don't know why they're making a big deal.
No, I don't think
But
so.
back to what I was saying. July is like blockbuster time. Like you put out your movie and it's,
Yeah, I mean, I think this is it, though. Like, these are the 3.
We're
I
done.
agree. Yeah.
This is the summer.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, Barbie, and
Oh,
Mission
next week we get
Impossible.
Ninja Turtles.
It's not going to do the numbers.
You don't think so?
No, the animated.
They're saying it's probably better than Spider-Man.
I know, but it's not going to do the numbers. People don't go.
Spider-Man
for,
didn't really do the numbers either, did it?
No.
No.
People aren't. And I think this sounds terrible. I think animation is, as far as theaters are concerned, I think it's dead. I think it's gone. It's
Mario
too-
Brothers just did 1.5 billion.
That's different because it plays to the nostalgia piece. Like, so many adults are like Mario, like they want to go see that. I get it. You could say the same thing about Ninja Turtles, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think the superhero thing, I think all that's a little played out. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Also international markets,
Yeah.
maybe. But
I get what you're saying.
I think a lot of
Don't
families,
disagree.
it's too expensive, dude. It's too expensive.
Oh, I'd be going to see Ninja Turtles alone.
I saw somebody.
Anybody.
Yeah, but you going by yourself, even if like a bunch of nerds just decide to go by themselves in a bunch of cities, it's
That's
not
going to
the
generate
numbers they need.
Yeah.
It's not the numbers they need.
Yeah.
And I think there have been too many examples of Pixar movies and all these other like cartoons that have been coming out, and they just have been getting clobbered at the theaters.
Across the Spider-Verse had the heels of the first one, and then like he's a black Spider-Man, so like the black community is going to show up for that. But I still
Sure.
don't think it like
That's a
it
movie.
didn't go over the way that they thought it was going to go over.
That's one of those movies that I feel like it's successful in a niche market. It's
Yeah.
always going to do really well because there's a diehard group of people that are going to buy it. They're going to watch it a bunch of times. They're going to rep it super hard.
Yeah.
They'll go with their friends, but it's just not going to translate to like the average
To
moviegoer.
blockbuster status.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
You
just
need-
did well as a movie. It didn't do blockbuster
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah. I mean,
Gotcha.
look at, there's a lot of movies. Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, they're not doing blockbuster numbers. I mean,
That's so crazy. They
they're
were
doing-
saying Mission Impossible.
they're
didn't
doing
do blockbuster.
big numbers, but not blockbuster. Barbie did blockbuster.
Yeah, Mission Impossible was 54 million opening. Spider-Verse was 120.
Yeah.
So better, but still, Barbie is 160.
It'll have a better, like it'll do fine in the home video market because people that are into it are going to buy it. It's not going to be on a streaming service.
We thought, we thought The Flash was going to be the movie of the summer, and they pulled that out of theaters, and now it's the number one rented movie.
Again, that movie, they just relied too much. Like a lot of those people, I feel like just aren't going to go to the theaters for it. I don't know.
And after I did watch The Flash,
I watched it.
it was just okay. Like it was just okay. It wasn't these people. Tom Cruise saying this is the best movie he's ever seen. Like you've made better movies.
He's just trying to hype people back into theaters.
He is.
That's
man.
all.
It's
He's just trying to
hype
gas
train.
everybody up. All right. We're at time.
Damn.
There's more to talk about next week for sure.
There is.
Because I've watched so many movies and we just scratched the surface, but we did the big ones, which is good.
Now I
Got
want
those
some
out of the way.
tacos.
Got that out of the way. Got Green River out of the way.
Green River.
There it is, buddy.
Shout out to Jay, Spirit Shop.
Thank you, bud.
Thank you for tuning in. Episode 62. Dose.